Hello everyone, Paul Rogers here. Today is November 10th, 2017. I'm going to be making a short video about what is going on with Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to look at things first from a technical standpoint, and then we're going to look at the fundamentals and the sentiment, which is very, very significant right now. Right now, there's basically a showdown between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So, first off, let's look at this. This is the daily trend channel right here. As you can see right here, I said, hey, this is probably a good time to sell Bitcoin. Not necessarily saying you should, just because there could have a breakout to the upside, and there was a breakout to the upside. And this is mostly because SegWit 2x and people wanting to get free coins. So Bitcoin breaks out, everyone's in euphoria, and there's more news about, I believe it's called the CME, I want to say, that's going to be listing it so regular investors can easily invest, put some of their portfolio behind Bitcoin. They could call up their stockbroker or send their stockbroker an email, say, hey, dump some stocks, get in some Bitcoin, buy some Bitcoin, and they can do it easily now. Before, they would say, hey, I want to get in Bitcoin, and the stockbroker would say, hey, I'm sorry, we can't get exposure to it at this point. Now that's going to be happening. It's going to be happening next month. So that was all very bullish news for Bitcoin. In my last video, I said, hey, Bitcoin could be at $20,000, in a couple months. It's very possible. And I still think that is possible, despite what's happening today. Now let's talk about why price crashed down here. Price crashed to 6,400 or so. And it was basically, let's see how low price got to, around 6,400. And the reason's quite simple. Oh man, just deleted my trend channel. The reason why price crashed was because there is just a lot of people complaining about SegWit. They are not really happy with SegWit, and they want to go to Bitcoin Cash. And they want Bitcoin Cash to be the new Bitcoin. And this is called the flippening, the changing of the torch between Bitcoin core developers and the fraction that is against SegWit, led by Roger Ver and others. So, as you can see, Bitcoin took a dive, but it's holding, and it's holding right at this resistance turn support on this daily trend channel. I'm going to have to draw this prettier some other time, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. And I think price is going to hold up right here. I don't think we're going to break into this trend channel. If we do break into this trend channel, it could be a good opportunity to buy around 5,100, 5,200, assuming that we hit this lower support channel. And that is possible, but I doubt it. I really do doubt it. I think that this is overblown. Do not sell your Bitcoin for Bitcoin Cash, especially not at these prices. If Bitcoin Cash is a couple $100, do it. If not, don't do it. Bitcoin Cash does not have the infrastructure, the adoption that Bitcoin has, and adoption is key. What separates Bitcoin between, from a shitcoin? What's the big deal? It's not the technology. There's a lot of shitcoins that actually have as good or better technology than Bitcoin because they just steal Bitcoin's code and add a new little feature and say, hey, look at me, I have an advantage somehow. But adoption is what separates them. Of course, Bitcoin also is a first mover to the market. But it all comes down to BTC, the symbol BTC. If you're not dealing with the symbol BTC, then you're not dealing with the king. You're not dealing with who's in charge, right? I mean, look at an exchange. Everything is in, it's the coin, the altcoin to BTC. That is the base. It's not, Bitcoin Cash, right? It's Bitcoin. So that's one thing, adoption. And that's not something that's going to change overnight. It's not like the exchanges are going to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, let's put everything into based in Bitcoin Cash and not Bitcoin. No, that's not going to happen. Forget about that. That's one major reason why things are going to change. The second one is SegWit is more than just increasing the throughput of the of the Bitcoin, number of transactions that can happen in one block in 10 minutes, right? It's much more than that. SegWit opens the door to the Lightning Network. And this Lightning Network is going to make transactions nearly instant because you're going to be able to transact off-chain. And transacting off-chain means that you can also transact anonymously. That's that's a game changer right there. That means I can go and use the Lightning Network and I can send my Bitcoin somewhere. I can do it anonymously, which is not possible right now. Not really, at least. I mean, you can try mixing and tumbling and, what have you to try to send things anonymously with Bitcoin, but it's very difficult right now. I'm talking about making it easy to go and send something instantly, have it confirmed instantly, and also being able to do it anonymously. Guess what? Bitcoin Core is not going to be able to do that. They don't have that ability. They don't have SegWit. So too bad for them. Right now they can brag that they can send money a little bit cheaper right now than Bitcoin Core. Okay, who cares? It's a few cents cheaper. Great. What's the future? There's no future. I'm sorry. There is no future because you cannot compete with Bitcoin with the amount of adoption it has and with when it integrates Lightning Network. You just can't do it. So don't get tricked and buy Bitcoin Cash right now. Just hold on to your Bitcoin, hodl, and relax. This is gonna next week. This is gonna be old news. There's gonna be something new in the news. Okay, this is just something this is like gonna last a few days, and then people are just gonna dump Bitcoin Cash, and that'll be it. This will be over. Let's look at a couple. I'm kind of ranting a little bit about all this, and I don't want to sound super negative on Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash has its place. It's important to have a version of Bitcoin that does not have SegWit. I do believe it is important to have that. To have two versions of Bitcoin, one with SegWit and one without SegWit. So I'm not trying to say that everyone involved with Bitcoin Cash is no good. No, not at all. I think they have good intentions. The thing is that they're an altcoin. They're an alternative reality of the real Bitcoin. The one that didn't end up. It's like looking at society moving forward, and then a group breaks off and becomes Amish. They say, guess what? We're going to keep things the way they were. Things were great without electricity, and we're going to continue forward. And guess what? The Amish, I think they're doing fine. They live the same way they did, a couple hundred years ago or whatever, 100 years ago, and they're okay. But are they the cutting edge of things? No. Are most people in the world Amish? No. Small group still exists. Same thing with Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is going to be something that still exists, has a purpose. Some people prefer it, but the majority of people don't. And the majority of people are going to use Bitcoin, BTC. That's the key, BTC. That is what everything is valued on, BTC, nothing else. So, anyways, that's my analogy, comparing Bitcoin Cash with Amish. And by the way, the RSI right now on the daily is kind of in the middle. So that's, I think, not really saying buy or sell right now. I'm telling you my personal opinion is that Bitcoin did bounce off of this resistance turn support, and it is going to be heading higher. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum's kind of in a perfect triangle of misery, and everyone's having a party, everyone's having fun except Ethereum. Now, we can debate on why that's happening. I think it's because everyone's kind of, a little, I'd say, what's a good way to describe it? ICO fatigue. They're fatigued on ICOs. That's it. People are they've had it with ICOs. There's good ICOs coming out, but there's so many shit ICOs coming out that they're just kind of like, enough, enough, enough. So that's causing a little bit of down negativity and downward pressure on Ethereum, unfortunately. But I think Ethereum will break out, and I'd be really happy to see it break out to the upside. So Ethereum is definitely not out. Dash is the darling right now. Dash, this was interesting, actually broke out of this triangle and was heading to the downside. Didn't look very positive. I said, hey, try to pick up some Dash around low 200s. Didn't go that far. It went to maybe 250-ish, maybe a little under 250, and then actually had a really strong breakout to the upside. And so it looks like Dash is heading towards 400. If you can pick up Dash a little bit lower, let's say it pulls back a little bit, and pick up some Dash around 330, 340, around there. Well, it's at 343 right now, so if it pulls back to maybe 320, 330, and you want to get into Dash, I think now is a pretty good time. Dash is a little bit, Dash isn't going to get wiped out like a lot of the second and third tier altcoins will get wiped out when Bitcoin has everything together. When Bitcoin has all the pieces to the puzzle, when it has instant transactions, anonymous transactions, and all the name recognition, who's going to be able to compete? Who is going to be able to compete with that? Right? I mean, there's going to be the second and third tier altcoins that go out there and have some little widget they do a little bit better or something like that. But once Bitcoin has those three things, it has the adoption, and then it's going to have instant transactions and anonymous transactions, done, knockout. Everything that isn't like a platform that's Turing complete, because Bitcoin's not Turing complete. It's a different form of code that makes it not support things like smart contracts, right? But once it becomes, there are platforms that are Turing complete. You can look at Ethereum, EOS that's coming next year. IOTA is kind of its own thing, the Tangle, right? Those platforms will be able to compete with Bitcoin in a different way. They may not be the gold or the money of the internet, but they're going to be providing a lot of other things that do have a lot of value. So it's not like Bitcoin's going to be the only player. What I'm trying to say is that in a couple years, it's going to be the battle of the titans. All these little crap shit coins that are out there that still have some value, some of them even have value of $10 million market caps, they will be vapor. They're not going to exist in a few years. So what I recommend, if you have some shit coins, when they pump, get out of them, get into something, a project that has some legs, a project that's going to be not future proof, but let's say it's going to have a fighting chance for the future. So that, generally speaking, Bitcoin, of course, is one of them. And then after Bitcoin, you got to read up and make your decisions. I think EOS, Ethereum. I really like Steemit. What else? NEM is an interesting project. They've been kind of struggling lately, but I wish them well. Dash is kind of like the PayPal niche of things, and I think that evolution fills a very important gap that Bitcoin. I don't think Dash is gonna go the way of the dinosaur when Bitcoin does implement the Lightning Network. Dash is going a different model, different route, and I think Dash is gonna have a place in the market for a while. So, but every other platform you're looking at, if it's a small time platform or a technology out there that is a one-trick pony, sell it. Get into the big boys. Get into the projects that are going to be around in 10, 20, 30 years. So, long ass video, almost at 15 minutes. But let me see if I want to say anything else. Besides the fact that I will make another video soon. I know I haven't made, my last video was, Bitcoin 20 grand is very, very possible. Bitcoin's heading to 10,000 soon. And, this is part of that journey. And Bitcoin will get to 20,000, and it will happen sooner than you think. Anyhow, Paul Rogers out. It is Friday. I'm gonna go and relax a little bit, but I wanted to share this information with you. Take care, guys.